Hello everyone. In this video I will show you how to connect to SQL Server using Visual Studio 2022. So first we need to download and install SQL Server. So let's go to this first link. It is on microsoft.com. Then let's scroll down and we need to click on this download button. But in my case I have already downloaded and installed SQL Server. Now let's go to Visual Studio and we need to open any project. So I will open this project. Then we need to click on Server Explorer. So if we cannot find this Server Explorer just here, then we need to click on View, then Server Explorer. Then we need to create a new connection. So we can click on this button, or also we can make a right click here, then Add Connection. Then in this window we need to select Microsoft SQL Server. Then let's click on Continue. So if you obtain this window and you don't have here Microsoft SQL Server, then you can click on Change. Then you can select Microsoft SQL Server, then OK. So here we need to provide the server name. Because the server is installed on my computer, so the address is localhost. Then slash. Then I need to provide the instance name. So the instance name in my case is SQL Express. So to find the instance name, we can start the services application. So here we can write services.msc. Then we need to find SQL Server. So this is SQL Server. In my case it is running. And between parentheses we have the instance name. So here we can write localhost / SQL Express, or also we can replace localhost by dot. Then we can select the database in this field. So let's click on this button. And here we have the list of the available databases. It is also possible to create a new database. So here we can provide the name of the new database that we want to create. So let's create a new database called Forum 2022. Then let's click on OK. So here we can see that this database does not exist. So let's click on Yes to create it. Now the connection is created. We can expand it, and also we can expand tables, and we can see that we don't have any table. So to create a new table, we can make a right click on tables, then add new table. So to change the table name, we can change it here. So I want to create a new table called users. So by default we have this column. It is called ID and it is a primary key. And also it is of type integer. To make this column auto-incremental, we have to select it. Then here in the properties we have to find the identity property. So this is identity. Let's expand it and let's change its value to true. Now let's create a new column. I will call it username. It will be of type varchar. We can change the size of this column. Let's write 100 for example. And it should not be null. So let's uncheck this box. Let's create a new column. Let's call it email. It is of type varchar. And also it should not be null. So for the email I want it to be unique. So here in the SQL I can write unique. Now let's add a new column. I will call it phone. It will be of type varchar. And it can be null. Let's add another column. I will call it register date. It will be of type datetime. And also I want to provide it with a default value. So for the default value, it will be current timestamp. Let's press enter. And now to create this table, we can click on this update button. Then let's click on update database. And the table has been created successfully. So to find the table in the Explorer, we can make a right click, then refresh. So here we can see that we have this table. Let's close this page. So to see the data of this table, we can make a right click, then show table data. So here we can see that the table is empty and we can insert some rows. So to insert the rows, we don't need to provide the ID because it is auto-incremental. Also, we don't need to provide the register date because it has a default value. So let's provide the username. Let's write, for example, Bill Gates. Then let's provide the email. Then the phone number. And let's press enter to insert the row. So here the row has been added and we can see that it has an ID and also it has a register date. Now let's add new rows. Let's press enter. Let's add another row. And let's add a last row. Now we can close this page. And to see the data again, we can make a right click on the table, then show table data. So we can see that we have these rows. It is also possible to update the rows. So let's, for example, update the email. Let's press enter. We can refresh the data. And we can see that the email has been updated. Now to delete a row, we can make a right click, then delete. Let's confirm. And let's refresh the data. And we can see that the last row has been deleted. Now I will show you how to execute SQL queries. So let's close this page, then let's make a right click here, then new query. So first let's check the name of the database which is currently selected. Then let's execute this query. We can use this green button. And here we can see that this is the database which is currently selected. We can also read the data of the users table. Let's execute this query. And here we can see the data of the table. We can also add a where condition. Let's execute the query. And here we have this row. We can also use this interface to create a new table. So let's remove this query. And let's paste the query that allows us to create a new table. Let's execute this query. And we can see that it has been executed correctly. Now let's refresh the tables. And we can see that we have this new table. It is also possible to add new columns into any table. So for example, let's add new columns into the users table. Let's close this page. Then let's make a right click on users. Then open table definition. So here we can add a new column. Let's select the type. It will be varchar. And let's update the table. So let's click on this update button. Let's click on update database. We can also delete a table. So let's make a right click on this table, then delete. Let's click on update database. And we can see that the table has been deleted. We can also change the database. So let's make a right click on the connection name, then modify connection, and here let's select a new database. So I will select this one, which is my shop. Let's click on OK. Let's expand the connection, then tables, and here we can see that we have these 3 tables. Finally, to close the connection, we can make a right click, then close connection.